Hey everyone, happy Friday. I hope you're having a great week. I've had some awesome coaching calls this week, and one of them is always with this lady. So, Dr. Cassidy, thanks for joining me today.
Of course.
And the cool thing is that maybe some of you don't know, Dr. Cassidy and her husband Andrew were here in Alaska for our Alaska Mastermind adventure that was happening in the middle of July. They opted to come early and got to go out to our remote property with us. It's a cabin with additional cabins. And so we were on the Argos and had just an amazing time. And then we had 3 days here at my home of Mastermind. And we also did a fishing trip to Seward, and we stayed in a yurt village, and we processed hundreds and hundreds of pounds of fish in my kitchen, and we went on a paddle pub around Anchorage, and we rode quads to the glacier. What else did we do? We all cooked together, and we all slept here at my house, and really just formed lifelong bonds as we like tore down the walls that keep us from or that keep us just like doing monkey, right, instead of really connecting. And I'm so thankful that I stand here every day and work, because we had this amazing circle right here in my office to end our celebration together. And it was really so beautiful. Like, we all each individually went around to all of the participants and to each other. It wasn't even participants. I feel like we're all like sisters from another time in our lives, and just acknowledged one another. And it was really beautiful. Cassidy and her husband really were just an inspiration to all of us. So, Cassidy, before we jump into your community event, what do you have to say about the Alaska Mastermind Adventure? I mean, she's coming up in a week and a half again, so it had to be pretty good.
That doesn't say how I felt about it. I don't know what will. It was a trip of a lifetime. I mean, I can easily say that it changed our life. It helped us see things through a completely different lens than we had seen life before. We built community with other chiropractors that, I mean, we all text every day. Ever since our trip, we're in a group chat. We talk every day. We check on each other, and I miss them so much. So that's the hard part of just all going back to our homes, being all over the country and not being able to spend time with each other on a regular basis. But just more to look forward to for next year. Go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I got so grounded on that trip, and that list that you just shared that we did, it's still like, holy moly, we did all that.
We did not and yet it didn't feel like chaotic. Right? And I love that we all cooked together. And so for those of you who weren't here and you're interested in maybe coming another time, I sent a Google sheet out to everyone, and everyone chose a meal. Like, hey, we want to do breakfast or we want to do lunch. And then it was like we lived like a big family together for over a week, 10 days. And what happened in your marriage as a result of being here together? Because everyone made like half of the people made comments about watching you and Andrew together while you were here. What happened?
We just got to be present to each other. We are so busy back home. We both own a business, and we're just go, go, go. So we just got to unwind and stop and be present and see each other in a different light. We got to see each other having fun, and we got to see each other in this grounded state. Like he's just this morning, the background on his phone is a picture of us from our trip. And he's like, look how excited and happy you are in this picture. And I'm like, and it's so true. Like, I was just radiating so much joy, and so was he. And it's made us like fall in love with each other differently, and we're really trying to like maintain that since we've been back. And it's been easy. Like, we've just been on a such better page, just being out in nature and not having the cell phone service that we were used to having, not having the computers and just all the chaos. It's just made it so much better to where we don't gravitate to that anymore now that we're back home. It's really easy to fall into that. But we're like, no. We don't want to go back into that. We try really hard to be present to each other because we just love holding on to that.
Yeah. And, I find, so often vacations are just a different location of what we always do, right? A lot of times, when we go on vacations, whether we go to the beach or we go somewhere, we're still doing kind of the same thing. It's like, hurry up and get to the next thing. And we're on our phones and answering emails or whatever. And that's one thing I love about Alaska. Like, go ahead and try.
Yeah. You're not getting on Pinterest looking at the top bucket list places to go eat. You're just living.
Yeah. And it doesn't even like necessarily occur to you to like take a bunch of pictures or to interact with other people other than just being present. And that's something I so love about Alaska is that it really does require your present time consciousness, right? Like whether you're on the fishing boat, like pay attention, there could be something on the end of your line, or riding quads, or going out to the cabin, like we could be heading into a big swamp or something. And I loved watching you and Andrew. I felt like we were there when you were dating. Right. And that's so fun too. Like every couple wants that, right? Like how many times do we get married and we're like, you're just not like how you used to be. And I know that like when Ben and I go out here, because there is that element of like, we have to work together in all the stuff that we do. It just brings that love and that excitement alive and back to us. So I'm super excited you guys are coming hunting with us and more time out at the cabin. So and I love that you guys keep saying yes. So let's talk about that for a minute of there's a real balance between in our lives saying yes, 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 when we actually want to say no to like more commitments, but like leaning in and just saying yes. Or like Liz Hafer doesn't even like the word outside, and yet all in and went camping when she got back. What did you notice about saying yes while you were here?
I mean, getting up there and like joining a group of people that you've never met before, I really didn't think much of it originally. And once we got there, we're like, oh, we're doing this. And we didn't really overthink it. We just went along for the ride. And from with your coaching, like that whole yes, no, live, like that river of consciousness, just like letting life flow and not overthink had just made it so easy to say yes. I think we end up overcomplicating, listening to that monkey in our head, and trying to convince ourselves to say yes or convince ourselves to say no. Who are we going to please if we say yes or no? And we just rolled with it. And that sparked this, like, I wouldn't call it an addiction, but it sparked this desire to want to keep saying yes to the things that we know we can for sure be present to. That's something that you taught me. Like, if I'm not 100% in, I'm not going to say yes. And that has definitely helped me weed out all those extra things that I'm not sure if I want to say yes to or not. And so that's why it was so easy to say yes when you're like, you guys should come back up. Okay. When? Oh, in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
And for those of you who don't know, like Cassie and Andrew even stayed longer. Yeah. So everyone was starting to leave on Saturday morning, and the four of us jumped in Ben's truck with our jet raft hooked up to us and headed down to the Kenai and caught 140 pounds of salmon on rod and reel in about 10 hours between 2 days. And we all had to share a hotel room together because they're just like Alaska during fishing season, right?
We jumped in the car. We didn't even know where we were going to stay. And we're like, we'll figure it out. And that was so fun.
Yeah, that's pretty much how we roll here. Yeah. And I love that spirit really kind of led to this community event that you set up in your town. Tell us about it. Like, what happened? Tell us about your practice, and then why do this?
Well, I've had my practice for almost 8 years now. I've switched my niche to pediatric and pregnancy focused a couple years ago. And I've really been trying to dive in and connect with other community partners, just lactation consultants, doulas, midwives, pediatric dentists. I had this whole list of people that I've wanted to connect with. And with the whole, just, I won't want to say chaos, but just the busyness of practice, it's really hard to nail down time in the middle of your week to meet with all the people that you want to meet with and connect with them to create a good professional relationship as well as hopefully a friendship. And so just after Alaska, I got back, and really what sparked it was there's this pediatric dentist here locally that we've been just trying so hard to connect. And I was going to be out of town, and she was going to be out of town. And I just got to see, I saw a just a likeness of she's busy too. And, I was like, you know what? I'm going to knock this all out in one big swoop. And I'm just going to invite everybody to the office and make a thing out of it. And also to kind of open doors to people that I don't know in the community or don't even know exist in the community, people who are new or people who have been around for a while. Like I found out there's this like pediatric physical therapist who's this huge influencer on social media, and she's local to our town, and I had no idea. But and so we invited everybody. We got everybody's emails. I had my team call and get like information from anybody we could, and we just said this is open to providers and the public. And so that's what I think made this different, is that it wasn't a marketing thing. It wasn't to try to get more patients in the door. It was just to build connection with everyone. And it was a blast. Like as soon as we were like halfway through it, one of the dentists was like, I get the next one. And she wanted to host the next round. And I was like, that is amazing. And we had so many new faces as potential patients. I was hoping that I had never seen before, that were new to the town, like new to the community. There's a new midwife that I had met, a sleep consultant that she just shows up and she's like, I'm down and I want to connect. And we just built so many great relationships. And it was really cool because even last week, my massage therapist, she said, hey, there's another massage therapist who's awesome at what he does. And he was like, Alan wants to be my friend. Like, we want to like connect and like see how we can build together. I'm like, that is exactly what the purpose of this was for, is just to build connection. And it was so fun.
Yes. And I love, like that energy of doing it for the fun, right? Doing it because like, all right, I don't have time to do this one-to-one. So I got an idea. Let's all get together.
Yeah.
And I took this from our text that you had OB-GYNs there, 3 midwives, IBCLCs, doulas, pediatricians, pediatric OT, pediatric PT, speech pathologists, sleep consultants, and even other chiropractors.
Yeah.
I love that in our tribe that we see like, okay, so as chiropractors, we only serve 2.38% of the population, right? So why not build those connections with other chiropractors so that they know, oh, Cassidy specializes in TOTS. And then this chiropractor specializes in, performance. And this chiropractor specializes in that. And so we refer to each other as chiropractors so that we keep that similarity of philosophy and that similarity of understanding how the body works, instead of just like faking it, like we know how to take care of kids with TOTS, because that's not something to go into lightly. No different than if you specialize in performance, like people are like damaging their bodies more than ever. Like I was talking to my chiropractor last night and she's like, yeah, like we're seeing so many cardiovascular things with this jab that we just have to be really careful. So there are new things that we're watching for versus what we used to do. And so I love how you just said, like, come on, everybody, let's get together. What else has been the outcome? Like you and I talked at our coaching call the other day, and you serve a lot of new practice members. So this definitely wasn't hey, our new practice member numbers are down, let's quickly do an event. However, You've already had how many new practice members from this one fun event?
Oh gosh, yeah. My front desk, she said that we had scheduled 13 new patients just for 2.5 days of last week. Several of them saw us on social media. I did see one familiar face that I saw at the mixer. It was a husband and wife. They were new to Tulsa, and so they showed up. They saw it on Facebook, and they showed up, and then they made appointments. So it was definitely. I mean, that's definitely was not the goal, but it was really cool to see that be an outcome. It was cool to see. One of the sleep consultants, she was incredible. I loved connecting with her. And I said, "Hey, do you have anything that you want to offer to our community here at Thrive that's just like special for Thrive patients?" And she's like, "Yeah." She's like, "I can like a first, a discount on the consult or just whatever." So she created a little flyer to add to our new patient packets that's just specific for our Thrive families. And it was just so cool to build that connection with a new person that you just met, but and it was actually really fun because there's a patient that was there, and her son, her little 1-year-old, he just will not sleep, and she's just having such a hard time. So I grabbed her. I was like, "Megan, come here." I was like, "I want you to walk over here." I was like, "This person is a sleep consultant." She goes, "Oh," and her little face just like, and she was
Aw.
like so happy to talk to her, and she's been helping her. Just so fun to build those relationships and not make it about you. It's about everyone else and how to bring life and love into their lives too. And it's just kind of put all the BS aside and just have a great time. We had mimosas, we had Chick-fil-A catered and a bunch of fruit and chocolates, and it was a blast. I don't really want to do it again like next month.
That is so awesome. And just bringing people together because it's fun,
Yeah.
right? I saw this quote that Russell Brunson had, and he says, "Stop selling the product and start selling the vision of what your product can do." So
Yeah.
here, like, stop selling the service or the care and start selling the vision of what's possible. And we know that as leader, we cast vision, create culture, hold accountable, and hold space for people, whether that's the leader of our practice or the leader in our community or the leader with our practice members. And that's really and truly what you did here is you were like,
Mhm.
"Hey, like, we can build this community together, get to know one another, and no one has time for one-on-one coffee."
Yeah.
Right? Like, we just don't, but we can all get together and have conversations that lead to connection, connection to relationship, and relationship to commitment. So great job. I'm
Thanks.
super happy for you, for your community, and for just taking charge. And you do the same thing in your other shop. Like, you guys just had a big event for the succulent shop. Was that in July?
Yeah, it was in June. It was our birthday bash. The brick and mortar just turned 2 years old. So we had a big bash and had a bunch of local vendors and just a big party.
And never say never,
Hmm.
right? Like, if you have a dream, a firework, right? Guardrail it with time, money, and resources. Decide if it's um, a um, a horse or a dog, and I'll give Rich Christensen credit for that. And then depending on does it meet those guidelines, then it can become a cow. And a cow, for those of you who don't know, that's like our cash cow. Those are the things in our business that just keep bringing us money. But oftentimes we forget and we start chasing the fireworks and we forget our cows. And you've done a really great job making sure that your people are well cared for while you explore other things. And I know that's not easy, and I just want to commend you publicly
Well,
for.
thank you.
You're welcome.
That's a lot.
And
That's all because of your help.
well, it's amazing what happens when we understand where our experience of life comes from. Um, in the Ultimate Coach, for those of you who don't know, it's a book about Steve Hardison, who's an unbelievable coach, and he talks about, and I think this is a perfect example of thought. And he said, if you and I were standing here talking, and I took a pillow and I just kind of started whacking with it, like, maybe the first time you're not going to react, but after a while you're going to be like, "What's going on? Like, stop." But if we're just talking right now, I haven't seen you go like this.
Mm-hmm.
because there's nothing causing you to do that. Right. And thought is much the same way, that sometimes we get all worked up, like worried, like, oh, I got to keep going on the hamster wheel, because if I don't do enough, then my business is going to fall apart and my life is going to fall apart. And we forget that there's this current to life, and to know that you'll put your arms up, it'll occur to you to do that when it's the right time. Like, we don't just walk around and like, whoa, like, we do it at the appropriate time, and we have to remember, especially when we're not on the hamster wheel and we're on that river of consciousness, to be like, yeah, this is a great time to add that, or I'm like, not right now, I'm floating
Mm-hmm.
along. What has been the biggest takeaway that you've had from private coaching?
Oh my gosh, just I would say freedom. You've really taught me um, to give myself permission to create the life that I want to live. Um, you've helped me get out of that monkey versus brain hamster wheel so much. I mean, like, I was drowning when we first connected. I was so overwhelmed and just didn't even know where to land on life and business and just me, all the things. Um, and you can have fun doing it. You can have fun, like, making money. You can have fun working. You can have fun serving people. I know we keep saying that fun word, but like, I was really hung up on, just feeling guilty and having fun, or feeling guilty of giving time to myself, or feeling like I had to be super professional all the time, and just this, ugh, I don't know. I didn't like that at all. And just serving from a grounded state. That is a phrase that I want just tattooed all over my life, just because it's a really good reminder to just be grounded in the choices that you make and how you serve and how you live. And um, just, if it's not, you always, one of the things you say is, if you already had it, what would it look like? And that's something that really helped me, because it's like, I really want this. I mean, even just yesterday on our call, like, I was having a hard time being organized with some stuff, and how am I going to have balance in my life? And you're just like, well, if you already had it, what would it look like? I'm like, why do you make that so easy? But and it helps, it's just, I just feel life is so much clearer than it used to be. That
Mm.
fog of chaos isn't there anymore. And I think we are just all wound so tight sometimes, and we just need to let go.
I made a quote for you in the chat, that from the outside in, I look like I had it all together, that I was ultra successful, when in reality I was dying on the inside. And I've shared this with you.
Oh
When we
yeah.
get off that call, I was like, I mean, I've met a lot of really stressed out people, but holy smokes, like, this one's going to go under if we don't do something now, which that obviously wasn't true. You weren't going to go under. And I don't mean financially. I mean, just the speed at which you were spinning that hamster wheel was deafening, right?
Mhm.
Deafening to what was best for you, deafening what was best for your marriage, really even deafening of what was best for your businesses, because it was just like, ah! And now
Mhm.
I just see you just like calm and enjoying it, and really stepping into your own form of leadership, and recognizing, like, those things will be there. Like, I want to get my company values, like, those things will be there. I want to have like really strong structures, those things will be there. Instead of feeling like we have to do everything today, it's like, I'll get it done.
Mhm.
I just don't have to do it before it's necessary. So congratulations to you.
Well, thank you.
You are so welcome. So as we wrap this up, what advice do you give to somebody who's watching this, who has a pediatric practice and who just can't seem to get the momentum and like things in the right places, so that there's just a consistent stream of new practice members?
Um, well, first of all, like, I didn't have that influx of new growth until I got right with myself. Like, I was barely surviving. I had a good patient base, but I wasn't on that momentum of growth, because I was drowning and people can see it and people can tell and they know. And then it turns into this weird codependent, like they just want to come and help you and hug you. And you're like, no, 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 that's not the point here, you know? And so getting yourself off that hamster wheel first would be key. And this is definitely not, it is an encouragement to seek help if you are overwhelmed and you just can't get it. And I really did learn so much. I've learned so much from our coaching and through the boot camp, and all the resources that you've offered has really helped me dive in and grow. And so learn the things, do the work. I did dive in and get certified in extra things. I went through, Dr. Martin Rosen's course, and I've gone through watched so many different webinars, so many books to become the chiropractor I want to be. But I can learn all the things, but if I don't have the proper systems in play with my team, or just have a healthy mindset for myself, that it's like you're always going to be missing that corner puzzle piece that's like under the couch when you're trying to complete that puzzle. It's like, it's not going to be complete if you're not right here or right here. And making sure you're under chiropractic care yourself. That's a big one.
Yeah. And for those of you who have associates, remember that it is not on you to train them to do everything, right? It's on them. Like, we're all big boys and we're all big girls. And when we offer them a position, yes, it is our responsibility to train them on the systems in our practice. But when it comes to clinical and even other things, like especially as a boot camper, when for those of you who don't know, when you join the boot camp, your membership is for everyone on your team. So now they have as much access to training and learning and growth as you do. And remember, care, don't carry. Serve, don't save. Care, don't carry. Serve. And I know you've put this into practice. What has that meant to you?
Just don't take stuff home with you, and don't make it your responsibility. Like, I remember at the very beginning of our coaching, you were having me kind of play out like a report of finding or a first visit. And I was going through my spiel and I said, I'm going to need you to come back next week. And you're like, why do you need them to come back? And I was like, oh, I didn't realize that's what I said. And you're like, that statement is making it your responsibility, and it is not, and
yeah,
it was really helpful for me to see that and just let things go. Like, I am here to serve you, and I'm here to be a part of your healing journey. And chiropractic is definitely something you need to add to your life, but I'm not doing it for you. And I always say, it takes two to tango. Please don't make me be the one pulling you around, and try to get you to dance with me. Like, you take the lead. I'm here to serve.
Yes.
And so that helped. That helped a lot.
And then people take ownership.
Mm-hmm.
We're not the body shop where you wreck your car and then you bring it to the body shop and you dump it off, and then they do all of their work with a big huge bill and give it to you. No, you don't dump. You don't dump off your broken down, busted up, beat up body, and then I'm like, here, I'll take care of everything for you. No, like, chiropractor, look. You weren't there when this baby's parents were conceived, and subluxation patterns pass on. Like, any of you who follow Monica and Heidi, they're 14 generations. Like, our fear response goes back 14 generations. So I'm pretty sure that's not the only neurological thing that goes back. And so when we take responsibility for people's health, just understand what you're doing. I mean, not only like what they're doing now, am I going to chase, if Cassie's my practice member, I'm going to chase her around like, hey, don't put that in your mouth and watch out for that. Not to mention the history that they came with. And that doesn't mean we don't care. We do. We care, don't carry, and serve, don't save. So for those of you who are in the boot camp, if you have additional questions, please make sure you put your questions underneath in the chat section, and Cass and I will be happy to answer them. If you're not in the boot camp and you've been watching long enough and sitting on the sideline, like, jump. I hired my first coach 5 months before I ever opened my practice. Like, success always leaves clues. It just does. And so if you've been sitting on the sidelines and watching Jump, we're getting ready to start our next 60-day sprint. It starts on September the 18th, and we wrap this one up November 19th. The most common side effect of the 60-day sprint is doubling your practice. So what a great way to end the year, to go into Christmas and Thanksgiving not feeling stressed out or not feeling like you didn't do enough. And you'll build amazing relationships and habits that will continue forward for the rest of your practice life if you so desire. So if that sounds like something you want to pursue, I will put a link here in the chat section and let's jump on a call. I don't know if I can help you, but I'm certainly happy to give you my time, and let's decide if you're in, and let's race hard. And if you're not, then I guess be happy with the results that you're getting.
One thing I want to say about the boot camp that I've enjoyed, that I've looked at other, different management companies in the past and other coaches, and I would always get overwhelmed being on the sidelines looking in, thinking that's just going to be one more thing I have to do and one more thing I have to keep up with. And I'm too overwhelmed to do that now. And that's one thing I like about the boot camp. There's always things going on, but you never feel like you're out of the loop. And if you are, there's always somebody there that's going to grab a hold of you and get you caught up and just share with you what's happening. And that's one thing I really like about our coaching too. You're not like, here's all the things that you need to do. Here's the things you need to stay caught up. Here's the things that you need to be successful. Follow my lead. This is how this is going to roll. That's not how it is. And I've had several people reach out to me about our coaching. And I'm like, that's what makes this different. And that's why it is hopefully a lifelong connection that I will be a part of in the boot camp. And you can find out what works for you, and you learn what works for you using these systems that you have all these things that there are on offer for you, but you don't have to mold into just another system that's not you, if that makes sense. So that's one thing I love about the boot camp. Like the sprint, I'll just be honest, I'll be real. Like when we did our last sprint, I was like, just because I'm so competitive and I'm such a doer, I'm like, I want to do all the things. But I was like, you know what? I was at this point where I was really busy, and I'm like, I did what I could, and I earned some of the points I could, and I made it fun, because I remember talking to you, and you're like, it's just a fun thing. Like, if you didn't get it done, don't worry. We're having fun with it. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I didn't feel like a failure just because I wasn't at the speed I wanted to be, so it's just fun. So I do encourage anybody who is watching on the sidelines just to jump. And you taught me there's only two things we're afraid of: loud noises and falling. So fear is just a liar. It's not real. And if you are afraid, just jump. You'll be so glad you did. And it's kind of scary, but like trying something new. But I'm totally different human being than I was a year ago. And I paid for the boot camp back in 2017 or when you first started. I didn't do anything with it for 4 or 5 years. I'm like, oh my gosh, my life would have been so much easier if I would have done that.
But it was the perfect timing.
It was. I'm very grateful for how God works and how he maps everything out for us. So I'm grateful for you, Barb. Thank you so much for your help.
For you too. I always think of the boot camp, it's chiropractic Netflix. There's training on everything, right? And we do have a lot of offerings, whether it's the 60-day sprint, or it's private coaching, or it's deep dive private coaching, or it's the Business Plus boot camp, or the Ultimate Marketing boot camp. I think of it like a buffet. And can you imagine going to a buffet and the little waitress is like, hey, you didn't take that. I noticed that condiment. I noticed you didn't put that on your salad. So you better take that.
Yeah.
No, here it all is. What would you like? What's of interest to you? And it's not about how much content we can get through, right? It's what are you implementing? And it occurred to me today, how many times when a practice member comes in, would you tell them just totally change things up? That's probably going to be a really good thing for you.
Yeah.
No, we tell them develop the habit. Develop the habit. Get in. And what we often forget is that success is boring. It's boring, right? It's boring to run our systems. It's boring to do what we're doing. But when we've got it down to where it's mastery, it frees us up to be present time conscious, right? And when we're really clear about what we're doing, we're freed up to find the joy in the conversation, the joy in the connection, the joy and the thrill of them regaining and keeping their health, the thrill of them getting excited and bringing in their friends and family members. But if we don't have it down how our practice runs, we're always all over the place. Oh, I got to do this, and then I got to do this, and then I got to do this, and then I got to do this. And, you know, the more that I study really successful entrepreneurs, that is not how they approach success at all. It can't hurt me. It can't hurt others. And it's got to be sustainable. Instead of brand new, like I'm going to do a little this, and then I'm going to do a list, and then a list, and then a list. And while you're wasting all of that time, your practice could be growing and you're doing your life outside of practice. And that's something that I've really seen you do is just dig in and get that consistency, which then builds the momentum, which then builds just that confidence as well. Yeah. So last minute words.
I love you.
I can't wait. Ben and I, when we got up this morning, we're both like, ooh, less than 2 weeks.
No, I'm so excited. I know. Andrew just laid in bed. He's like, I can't stop thinking about Alaska. And then we're making breakfast. He's like, I can't wait for Alaska. And he's like, ooh, do we need binoculars for him? He's like constantly shopping for stuff. It's so funny. I'm like, I'm sure we're going to be just fine. It's going to be okay.
We do need binoculars, though. We like Vortex. Those are our favorites.
Okay. I'll tell him. He's downstairs. He can hear me. He can hear it.
Vortex. It has Kaiwaba or like, I don't know, mine work just fine. I have Vortex. I don't remember what Varix they are. I think maybe they're Varix 3, but I can't remember some. Anyway, all right, all of you, happy Friday. Have a great weekend. Remember that your weekend has the same responsibility as your week. Your week has the responsibility of making a difference, making an impact, and earning income. And your weekend has the responsibility of deep connection and resting and recharging. So please leave work and know it's going to be waiting for you on Monday. But right now, have a great time on the weekend.
That's right.
Thanks, Cassidy. See you.
Bye.